welcome, guys. Welcome back to another episode of The Foundation. If you have not seen, you're new to the channel, great information here. So please subscribe, like,
Yes, like and
follow.
subscribe.
Oh, hit the subscribe button somewhere. Okay, definitely turn that notification bell on so we are on next week. We're on your YouTube popping up. All right, catch our episodes there. So with that, this week, me, my good friend Jerry here, as always, we want to discuss something important: overcoming burnouts and
Overcoming
staying
burnout.
motivated.
Yeah.
Burnouts, overcoming burnouts and staying motivated. Now, Jerry, this is a funny question. Have you had burnouts before? And what are some of the warning signs for you?
Let's see. First of all,
I mean, at work.
have Alex Ramosi
Sorry.
talks about how, when it comes to burnout, doesn't exist if you can, with the stipulation that if you can get reward for your work, in a longer time horizon, if you could extend the time horizon for when you feel satisfaction, then burnout is not really a thing, and it could be that, like in my example, before we started the podcast, I was talking about my niche, I was talking about my current results and outreach methods, and I wasn't feeling so great about it. But if I extend the time horizon to when I could see the result, or like does the bodybuilder get burnout? No, he loves what he's doing. Like to him it's not work. To him it's love. He doesn't like. Does Michael Jordan get burnt out? No, he loves what he's doing. Like the work is part of his identity. So if you can make what you're doing part of your identity, you can't get burnt out by doing something that's a part of you. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. Um, I think in traditional, it depends on how you see burnout. Um, in the sense of Michael Jordan and the bodybuilder, it's harder to experience burnouts in those senses, not only because of love, but we're seeing incremental results. Our eyes are focused on the results, right? No matter how small they are. Oh, I shoot 100 shots. Ooh, I just shot 10 shots and I hit nine. A few months ago, I was hitting, seven out of my 10 shots or something like that. Or just the bodybuilder. Oh man, you feel it every day. You feel healthy. So it's the bodybuilders you're really maintaining. Are you looking to get bigger? Up until a certain point, but after a certain point, you can't, you only get so big, right?
Unless
So
you're Ronnie Coleman, right?
right.
Then you can get
Now you're just
huge
trying to
forever.
maintain, right? Yeah. So at some point, you're just trying to maintain and feel. It's about feeling now. It's about feeling. Same thing with a lot of sports, right? It's about how I feel. And so how you feeling while you're doing something. Burnout is a feeling, right? It's not necessarily burnout is not necessarily for me at least. I don't think it's result driven. If the way you feel about what you're doing is dependent on your results, oh, you're definitely gonna feel burnout at some point
I
because
totally
it's
agree. Great
results.
point, Richard.
Um, but if it's dependent on how accomplished I felt like I've done something every time after you do it, then you never will feel burnout because you're going to feel you've done something. You're gonna feel the reward every time you finish doing the task.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you're focused on the results, you're gonna get burnt out fast. But if you're focused on the leading indicators, then and if you're feeling a reward from doing the actions, then you're not gonna get burnt out because you love what you're doing. You like what you're doing. You're getting benefits. You're feeling good just from doing the thing, even without the result. And I think that's how technically avoid feeling burnt out, right? Because
Absolutely.
you love the process, you love lifting the weight, you love playing the game of basketball as an example. And so in those instances, it's part of who you are, it's part of your identity. And you're not going to feel that burnout feeling if you love what you're doing. If you can get a reward from just going to the gym, and if in your mind you get a reward from just doing the action, that's a leading indicator. The lagging indicator is the bigger muscle. The leading indicator is you showing up to the gym, right? And if you can get a reward from those little things, an expert like a true expert can get reward just from doing the action, which is lifting weights, shooting the ball, being in the pool. Let's say you're a professional swimmer, right? Just being in the pool is the leading indicator. And if you can get a reward from just being in the pool, if you in your mind reward yourself like, yeah, I'm in the pool, this is what I want, that if that's part of your identity, you're never gonna feel burnt out. There's there like Elon Musk, for example, he hasn't gotten to Mars, but the leading indicators of okay, I'm gonna work, 100 hours a week, 80 hours a week at space at all my businesses. That leading indicator, he's not gonna feel burnt out because he loves what he's doing. It's part of his identity. Even if he hasn't achieved the result yet, he's still being fulfilled,
Just
and he's not gonna burn out. He hasn't burnt out for years. He's a machine.
yeah, I think the main difference between those feeling burnt, because it's not that you're not going to get tired. So let's put that out there for one. It's not that you won't be tired. You will be tired. We're human. Okay, we do get tired. Okay, but burnout is a lot different from tired. And I think one of the key differences um, between just being burned out and being tired is you when you're tired of what you do, you're burnt out. When you're tired from what you do, you're just tired, right? So
Yeah,
there's that, and I think also, when you work as hard as you work because you want to, you will never get burned out. When you work as hard as you work because you have to, it's just a matter of when you get burnt out, if that makes sense, right? When you work as hard as you work because you want to, you just get tired and rest and come back. Okay. When you work as hard as you do because it's super hard because you have to, I have to pay the bills. I have to, take care of the kids. I have to go to work. It's just a matter of how long you can last and when you'll eventually get burnt out, when you actually get tired of doing what you have to. Everybody gets tired of doing what they have to do.
yeah,
Nobody
you're
gets
so
tired
right.
of doing
Everybody
what
gets
they
tired.
want to do. And you have to stop people from doing what they want to do. Right? Nobody's like, oh, this chocolate cake is so good. I want to eat it, but I'm going to stop. No. You're going to keep eating it until you decide that you have to stop,
Yeah,
right? And even after a certain amount of time, you're gonna do good because you have to keep a healthy body. Why do you think so many people have trouble with their weight and stuff? I have to keep a healthy body. I have to keep it. Eventually, you fall off the wagon and you're gonna eat chocolate cake and ice cream because that's what you want to do. The power of want is a lot stronger than the power of have. That's just
the power of
how it
want is a lot stronger than the power of have. That's so true.
is. Yeah.
Should write, right. I gotta write that down.
Right? Yeah. Where's the pen? Oh, it's being recorded. Okay. But,
Preach, brother,
um,
preach.
yeah, no, absolutely. So I think we have to start there is make sure we're doing the actions we want to line up. And it doesn't mean that we don't do some things that we have to, but we have to do those in moderation, right? And
Yeah.
pay attention so that we don't overwork in the areas that we have to. You want to overwork in the areas that we want to,
Mhm.
right? If
Can you give
that
me an
makes
example of a time where you started feeling that burnout feeling, Richard?
Oh, absolutely. So, before I became, I think you remember this, Jared, when I was first starting my entrepreneurial journey, I was doing it back in COVID, playing games. And I enjoyed gaming when I was younger in COVID, and I wanted to make it a career. That's what I decided, right? Let's make this a career. I could do this all day because I want to do this all day, right? Until it became a time when I had to do it all day because now I can't, I'm trying to earn money from this. I have people watching, I have people, fans doing, and when I feel sick, I have to turn on the live stream and still go on, hey, what's up, guys? But, feel like I don't want to play games today. When I don't have the want, I still have to do it. And those the want started slowly and slowly going away because I don't know. I think for me, at least, I can't speak for anybody else. For me, gaming was just one of those things I eventually started growing. The less I did it, I started growing out and out and out of it. Right?
Yeah, me too, dude. I don't even play any more games. I mean,
Yeah.
I still do other thing. I still play, card games, but like
Not
video
video
games
games.
specifically,
Video
like the less I played video games, the less I wanted to play video games, you
Yes,
know.
absolutely. And so started becoming a chore, and then I eventually got burnt out, and it was over. I didn't want to do it anymore. Now it's I have to do it. Now it's not going to do anything because I have to do it. Right? Those not consistently, not every single day like that. Now to make it a career,
Yeah.
the career that I choose, I want to do it. So but I still wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I never gave that up and I moved to something else. Oh, I love talking about money, love finances, love all of that, love math. Let's do something I want to. And this is an area that I can still keep it about the same thing, not experience burnout by doing different tasks in this field, right? Whereas it's not saying you can't do different tasks in the gaming field, but you're talking about getting, coding, learning about coding, learning. And I tried that stuff, right? And I realized there was nothing else in the field other than playing video games that I actually want to do. And then when I stopped wanting to do that, that's where burnout experience. Whereas in being an insurance agent, when I stopped wanting to call and stopped wanting to actually sit down with clients, I could train people, and I wanted to train people. Right? I felt rewarded from that, and I can move from training people to running an agency. I felt rewarded from that. I can move from running an agency to now seeking partnerships with different, and just different things, right? So there's so many different avenues that it doesn't take. I don't know what the word is, but it doesn't take
League.
a lot of investment. The investment is low, right? I
Mm,
don't have to invest a lot of time into moving from one avenue or one job, one assignment, for lack of a better
yeah.
term, in
It's
my field.
it's important to feel the reward for what you're doing, especially if it's a thankless job. Yeah, so if you can feel rewards for doing outreach, if you can feel a reward for doing the hard thing, like sitting down and writing a webinar, like the hard things in the business, if you can feel a reward from it, then you'll never burn out. Same with a bodybuilder that feels a reward just by being in the gym, that feels a reward for being in the pool or being on the court. If you can feel a reward from those things, then you're not likely to burn out, you know.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
think you were in
I think
the
that's the best way
restaurant
to
business.
avoid burnout.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you were in the restaurant business as well, right, Jerry? If I'm not
Yes, the
mistaken.
purple onion. Yes, very proud.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
actually, disliked that business, but
Yeah.
it was also a learning lesson too. I had a reward, I was rewarded for, even just being the restaurant owner and being able to tell people that I was a restaurant owner. It felt really good.
Hmm.
Um, but then, when it came to running the business and hiring people and managing inventory, and dealing with third parties and vendors and relationships. I would at first I would get a reward from actually, from building the sandwiches and selling a lot and feeling really good. And then it was the same thing. Then I was able to feel rewarded by hiring people and training people and feeling really good about, running a restaurant business.
Hmm.
Uh, eventually I started getting the feeling of burnout when I stopped feeling rewards. I stopped feeling a reward from employee churn and from dipping sales or
Hmm.
from vendors not showing up on time or the wrong products being ordered or
Hmm.
employees storming out. And, you know, I I started, I guess, getting the feelings of burnout, about a year in, which, as you know, I sold that business, thankfully, right before the COVID shutdown. So I was very lucky in my exit there. And this was by no means a big business, right? It was a mall,
Last 3 years.
restaurant business. So, I still talk about it to this day because it does feel good to talk about past accomplishments. But you're only as good as your current accomplishments. So,
Absolutely.
me bringing up the fact that, oh, I had this cool business and, oh, I'm such an entrepreneur, but I have nothing to show for it except the experience and the lessons. So,
Yes.
me bringing up past glory is, riding on my old coattails, and so. It doesn't feel good to talk about it these days since I'm in a new niche, new business, and that comes with its own challenges. Uh, which before we started the podcast, I was talking about my experiences in the franchise niche.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I stopped feeling that reward. And that's when the feeling of burnout set in. Same with the kiosk business too, by the way. The kiosk business, exactly the same trajectory. I would get rewards from selling, then from owning the business, then from making a lot of money in the business, and then from hiring and managing these
Hmm.
relationships with the vendors, with the malls, with the military bases. And then, and I stopped feeling that, and when the business got hard, that's when the burnout started settling in, like, oh, I hate this thing. And, I started hating the business, and I hated being tied to the location, to the locations, you know what I mean? In malls, I started disliking it, and I felt that burnout, and the salespeople, you know, I would see they would work seasonally too, because like the people that have been in the kiosk business for years, doing the selling or doing the managing, they also feel the burnout, and I've met some people that can never sell again at a kiosk because they got so burnt out for years. They were burned out so bad that for years they, I could never do this again. It was
Right.
so taxing on the mind, on the body, on the soul because of the rejection, the work, the sales, the
Yes.
the, the high volume,
Yeah.
the
All of
high
that.
volume sales, highly transactional. Uh, Burnout, became so real that, that when COVID shut down that business too, I decided, okay, I would never do this again. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to go near the kiosk businesses, the kiosk space anymore, even though
Yeah.
it was a wonderful business, very profitable. If the most important thing in that business is the mindset. If your mindset is not on point, there's no way you're going to be able to sell because people can feel it on you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's funny. Right before, um, COVID and everything. I think COVID changed a lot for a lot of people, but that's just business in general. But right before that, and I decided to go into gaming and trying to help other streamers and things like that. I was a chef in my past life, right? I was a chef,
That's
and
amazing. I didn't know that.
it's
I
funny because
I,
that's
I think you had
what.
mentioned it actually that you were
Yes,
a chef.
yes, yes. When we started playing Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, I was chefing then,
You
and
were chefing.
it's burnout happened. That's what happened really for me. I love cooking. I still love cooking. I enjoyed it, right? But the not feeling the reward. I think when you work for someone else too, feeling that reward is also somewhat dependent. You place that dependency. It's not just it's dependent. You placed by working on someone, you subconsciously decide my reward for this job, a piece of that is held to is that person's responsible for a piece of my reward. You work anywhere. It could be it could be you work for Elon Musk. That if you decide to work for Elon Musk, that is part of the prerequisite. It don't matter if you're the president or the chief, the CEO. You're saying the reward I feel for this job, part of that is partly Elon Musk is partly responsible for part of that. That's what it means to work under. someone. That's what it means to, follow a team. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to recognize that if you're unwilling to leave that long term in somebody else's hands, that portion, not all of it, obviously, right? Just that portion, that probably isn't the job you should be doing. And when I found out that, oh man, me, I'm not willing to come to work and open the store, open a restaurant, run this whole team, and the boss not say thank you. I'm doing above and beyond what I'm supposed to be doing. You giving me an extra gift card, or you don't have to do much, but hey, take today off. We got it. Take whatever. Oh, you haven't taken a vacation. You should go on vacation. We can run the store without you. It's like if you're constantly saying you need me and things, and I've realized, listen, that some people are okay with that. That's okay. If you're okay with that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Teachers can't really take days off like that, not if you want to keep your job.
Yeah, they're not in
Uh,
control of their schedule.
Right, but some teachers they love what they do. They feel rewarded. They will never go anywhere else. And some are quitting, right? Because some that little bit where how rewarded I feel, I have to feel some kind of reward coming from you. And what you're giving me doesn't make me feel like I'm being rewarded. That means that you shouldn't be at that job. Honestly, whatever that job is giving you, as long as they're not treating you badly, obviously. But if they're not
Yeah.
treating like a sub-employee, what they're giving you should make you feel rewarded. If it doesn't, that's a sign that you're probably not with the right company or in the right industry, in the right field. And for me, it
Hmm.
was the right industry because I knew I was going to get treated the same way no matter where I went to be a chef. And I was like, I don't think I want to stand on my feet all the time anymore. I don't, not for the pay that I'm getting, not for the things that I have to do, the responsibility I have to take on as a head chef, and the restaurant industry is not making enough money. And then me moving to a restaurant owner, like I saw it, me moving, I was, I don't want that. I
Yeah.
know the next step wasn't rewarding enough for me. And even if I did take over no, I don't want it.
That's amazing. I felt the same way as about, the previous in uh the previous, you know, businesses. I was like, no, I don't want to keep expanding the kiosk business, and it was basically shut down by COVID. And like I wouldn't want to open up more locations for the restaurant. I don't see myself doing this. I actually started hating, the work, and I started feeling really miserable, real sad, like real unmotivated, and it was seeping through into my work, and my relationship too. And
Yeah,
it
that's
was
that's not good.
it was a good decision to
Um,
move away from those things, from those
Absolutely. This
businesses.
position sometimes is to move on. Now, this brings me to my next question. How do you said something interesting earlier that you could see it in the team. How do you recognize when your teams are approaching burnout?
You could see it in your team, in their apathy. Well, if it all comes from the founder, the owner, the manager, whatever it is, the people if the people above you have a certain attitude, that's going to seep into the employees. They're going to start feeling the same way. Well, if the owner doesn't care, like why should I care? If the owner is feeling, is feeling apathy, and he has a negative attitude, they're also going to feel the same way, and they're going to take it out on the customer too. Like it all comes from the top down. Like imagine if Elon Musk was a pessimist. Oh, we'll never get to Mars. Oh no, it's such a hard problem. Oh, I don't think we're gonna do it. Or what do you think what is gonna happen to his team? We're like, why should they work hard if the owner and founder is saying and doing these things? So you have to lead by example. I mean, it's a cliche, but if the founder doesn't care, why should I care?
Yeah.
So
And
you could see it in the team. Like by the way, if the leader is positive, if the leader is doing all the right things, but one of the employees is starting to feel the burnout. I had this happen with salespeople. I would like in our heyday, we were crushing it. We were doing so well. There was positivity, high sales throughout the entire company. But if I started seeing one person being giving the signs and symptoms of burnout, then as the leader, you have to recognize that and set and put them aside and force them to, hey Miranda, I need you to take, these next 3 days off. Just go somewhere, relax. This is what my old sales managers did too. When they saw it in me, be like, hey Jerry, it looked like you had a bad day today and yesterday. I want you to take these next 3 days off and go to a spa. I was, oh, I hate spas. Oh, what do you like to do? I love mountain biking. Okay, go and do that. So that was my order basically. So I took the day out. I took the next day off. I went mountain biking
Sales
all
doctor.
day, like 6 hours. Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean that's not all day, but
from the sales doctor.
and sorry, what was that?
So that's the prescription from the sales
The,
doctor.
the sales doctor, exactly. They told me, Jerry, go do something you really enjoy, you love doing. And and I did, and I didn't even think about sales. But when you do something so much, you start even dreaming about it. Like
Yes.
I would go to sleep and I dream about calling people to my kiosk and selling them and closing them. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but when you do
Yes,
something for many,
absolutely.
many, many hours a day, you start going to bed and dreaming about it. And so, and maybe that was also causing the burnout too. I was just doing it, so I was working so hard. But it's important for sales leaders to see it early on in their team, and help them to avoid the burnout.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, because I actually felt burnout in the life insurance industry space. I was
And what did you
approaching the
do?
exit, and I removed myself from the company. That's
Oh,
what
you
I
just quit.
did.
Oh, okay, no.
Remove myself from the manager, and decided to really become independent. There was some level of independence. It was still your own agent. You're still an entrepreneur, but again, the when you're tied to sell a particular product by a particular company, there's only so much you can do, right?
Yeah,
Even though you're a salesperson. So I decided to move from just a salesperson to a agency owner. Right now, I own an agency. We decide the products we're gonna sell. Right, and the fire. I mean, Jerry, it was like if you ever seen those. Yeah, it's like a little candle, and the little candle wick is going, and all of a sudden it's
yeah,
a forest fire. It just lit back up inside of me, and I was like, "Oh man, the love is back." Like I
that's
really
great.
thought I wasn't gonna make it. I thought I was gonna have to give up on entrepreneurship. That's how bad it got, and I realized it was just working so hard, not only just hard, but when sales managers, sales leaders, agency owners, this is for you. This message is for you, right? When you work your people so hard and you do not show them a path or make them feel like they are achieving the next step, a burnout is going to happen. It's a
Yeah,
matter of,
yeah.
right? And I think that's what happened to me, where it's like, oh, I've worked so hard for this promotion, and this promotion, I heard, it's 3 months, 8 months ago. I heard you're getting it in 3 months, 8 months ago, and I'm like, where is it at? I'm doing all the right things. And if I'm not, it's just a matter of you helping me a little bit, and you're just wanting me to do it all my own and come up off my own bootstraps when you didn't, right? So it's sales managers and if you own a sales team, you have to be. I know sales is one of those jobs that they have to be doing and performing in order to get reward. But it's also important to nudge your people, give them that little boost. Like you said, Jerry, not only tell you to take next 3 days off, but here's a gift card, or here's, a
Yeah.
$100.
Sales
Go
is
spend it in the next 3 days.
This is
It's
very
like,
psychological. You're doing the same
yes,
repetitive thing every single day for many, many hours. So, the psychological well-being of sales of a salesperson is so important to their success because in a few months, they're going to get burnout if they don't see path if they don't see a future, the future next step that they're working towards, then if you don't paint that picture for them, then they're gonna crash and burn super hard.
Mhm.
So, uh,
Yeah.
just like you said, you touched on something important there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's yeah, it's definitely something. So now, one of the ways I do that, tell me, Jerry, I don't know if in your teams it's kind of the same, but Bible verses. I pray with my team sometimes, and I, of course, I ask their permission. I don't just start preaching and praying, right? I was like, anyone that
Everybody's together. We're gonna pray.
yeah, yeah. Anyone that wants to pray, it's a part of our culture. You can stick around. If you decide to walk away, we're not going to ostracize you. We're not going to make you feel bad for walking. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie. There's times that I feel like I don't want it, because the enemy jumps up and you feeling you're angry at the moment, you're feeling down, you're feeling whatever. But I'm at the point in my walk where I realize, okay, that's just the enemy. So I'm not gonna walk away. There's no reason for me to walk away. I'll take all the pray. Pray for me, please. I'll take all the prayer I can get. I need it, right? But if you are walking away, I remember there's times when I was walking away. I remember those times, so I don't judge people or anything like that. And I don't think I've not had one person. People will generally take prayer as long as you're not a zealot.
Yeah.
I guess the word is. As long as you're not a zealot, um, the people is gonna let you pray for them. So the prayer helps, and I use Bible principle, Bible verses. One of the things I say all the time when I motivate my team is work as you're working unto the Lord, meaning you're working for a higher purpose. You're not trying to get recognition from humans and accolades from, oh, Jerry, you're so cool, Jerry. Oh my gosh, you're such an amazing agency owner. You're doing so well. If anybody tells you you're amazing, does that help? Does that make you feel good? We are all human. Of course, it makes us feel good, right? But that's
Hmm.
not what we're working for, not those moments, because when those moments don't come, you're going to feel bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to work for more. You have to work like you're working for a higher purpose. Like uh, there is something that I'm trying to accomplish. And and that accomplishment needs to be more than money, needs to be more than moving my family out of the hood. Because when you do that, what next, right? It needs to be something that's far out there unattainable. Elon Musk wants to get to Mars. That may never happen in his lifetime. So he might never experience one next, right? And what if he does get to Mars and he does experience one next? He's probably gonna be old and he's gonna be deserved to sit down and just chill at that point. But you want to go that it may take you years and years and years and years and years to reach, and that's the ultimate goal you're working towards. But in between, then you have your smaller and more achievable goals, so you do feel rewarded. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. I think Elon Musk, I think we will get to Mars in his lifetime. So, I'm feeling pretty good about that. But one thing I also wanted to mention is giving status to your employees, giving status to the salespeople will also prevent burnout too. So, for example, giving status could be at the beginning of a sales meeting, you start with wins. Who can we elevate in the group? Oh, Richard started off yesterday. Richard ended yesterday with, five $1,000. He ended the day at 5K just on his own. It's like,
Okay.
oh, so in whatever way you can, elevate status. Uh, of your people with certain accomplishments like, oh, Jerry ended the day with XYZ sales and a new base. It's like, so huge shout out to Jerry, huge win there. So starting off with wins elevates status,
Yeah.
highlighting accomplishments gives status. And one thing we would do when I was just a simple sales guy, working at a mall kiosk, um, one thing we would do is we'd celebrate Shabbat, which is a Jewish thing. So every
Hmm.
you know, I don't even remember if it was Friday or Saturday, but I think it was Friday actually. But we would get together for a meal together. We'd cook and we'd eat together. They were all Jewish. Literally, all my coworkers were Jewish except me and my girlfriend. And we'd celebrate like a Jewish tradition. So,
Hmm.
you know, and that would be the opposite of burnout. It would create inclusivity. It would be a ritual that we would do together, and it would bring us
Yeah,
closer
that
together.
would be
And it would increase our performance because we'd feel like we were in it together. Everybody was in the trenches. We were all fighting. We were all selling, and so it created tradition. So one, giving status, and two, creating rituals, creating traditions that brought us all together. And Shabbat was one of those things, where they would say a Jewish prayer, and we would celebrate the Jewish tradition, and it was real nice. And that was another thing that decreases burnout in people. It was creating a cohesive unit. It was creating a team environment. So elevating status and having those rituals. I think in the past I've mentioned the siftach, which is like, oh,
Mhm.
everybody was trying to get their siftach,
Yes.
first sale of the day. You know, so that was a tradition of ours too. Like, okay, everybody first one to get their siftach gets an extra $100 on their paycheck. It's like, oh, that's amazing. I want that.
Yeah.
So doing those things, recognizing when somebody is approaching burnout in your team is important in order to maintain high performance.
Yeah. Um, I guess in closing and wrapping it up, what is one thing an entrepreneur can do starting today to overcome or avoid burnout?
To avoid burnout. Well, what is one thing? I think it's love. You know, well, what you mentioned earlier was getting a reward from the leading indicators. So feeling a reward from doing the inputs. So the inputs
Hmm.
can be cold calling. The inputs can be door knocking, or it could be writing if you're a copywriter. Like those are the leading indicators. So I think rewarding yourself, if you don't feel the reward right away, then manufacture the reward. So let's say
Hmm.
I'm going to do 100 cold calls and I'm going to reward myself by, giving myself a smoothie. If if it's exercising, then if you don't feel the reward from the exercise itself, then after the exercise, reward yourself with a nice Starbucks coffee, let's say, right? Like, I think the way to avoid burnout is finding the reward in the action. And if you don't have that right away, reward yourself artificially, and then eventually just the action itself will be rewarding. Like, oh yes, I did my 100 dials today. I feel really good. Even though you didn't, let's say, get a sale right away,
Hmm.
you should still reward yourself for those things. And I think that will stop burnout from cementing itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, much
What
of
would
the
you say?
same. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with that process of whatever you do. And I guess on top of that is have have somewhere you're trying to go. A goal is more it's inspirational, motivational. It's hard to burn out when you have a finish line, right? Athletes go through it, right? They experience less of a burnout, and they could be gasping for air in those. I can't run 26 miles. Okay, I don't know what anybody. I can't run 26 miles. But some people, you have 80-year-olds running that. And why don't they? Are they more healthy than me? No, he's 80.
I mean,
She's 80.
probably.
Like,
You're
you
probably
know,
healthier than most of us.
but there's a goal they have, and mental, like you said, is just getting your mental right, setting those mental targets. I think, and falling in love with the process as we talk about it. If you don't know, that's the most important thing right now. You know, after this, we're at the
Yeah,
end of the podcast, and I'm saying fall in love with the process, right?
great advice,
Find
Richard.
ways, find ways to do so. You're doing cold call. Don't think about I gotta call somebody. I get to call and help somebody else. I
Hmm.
get to provide my service to somebody else. So when I call, I'm like, hey, I actually get more answers and so much more positive response because I'm so positive on the phone when I call people, even when they're rejecting me. I'm like, okay, no worries. I don't run people down. I just take the rejection, move on, and to the next one, right?
Hmm.
But fall in love with that process, guys. Well,
Amazing. Thank you so
Eric,
much.
yes, sir. It has been a pleasure as always, guys. I hope this helped. Please leave questions, comments down below in the comment section there. And don't forget to subscribe to the
Yep.
channel.
Like and
Turn that
subscribe.
notification, like and subscribe, turn that notification bell on. We love to hear from you. Anything that you want us to talk about or anything you want us to expand on that you heard today. Love to hear from you. Until next time, Jerry, it's been a pleasure as always. Love you guys. Love America.
God bless America. Thank you so much.
God bless America. Till next time, guys.
Till next
Peace.
time. Peace.